so now I'm going to go year by year about the purpose of each ICP meeting. So this one is new. So first year ICP meeting will be an evaluation of fit, or what we're kind of nicknaming the fit test. Is the full-time academy a good fit for the student? Are the needs of the student being met? Right? Are the goals and aims of the student still consistent with what the academy provides? It seems like every year we get a student or two who gets in here and then they're like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Well, we would rather have them, for their sake and for ours, to say, I don't want to do it, and let's really sit down and have a conversation and decide whether or not they want to do it. And are they showing interest in the full-time program? We've had a number of individuals step back and say, you know what, I would prefer to do this part-time. I don't love this enough. You know, I don't love sitting in a dark room, like really meticulously moving lines around, even though it's Game of Thrones, you know, or a bunch of other projects that I can't name. Something from Marvel, maybe. And then the other thing is, like, are they following direction? You know, are we having some issues getting the information to them? Are they keeping up with the coursework, or is this just totally overwhelming? Is the student able to keep up with the tasks of the classroom? And so it's just a simple, like, let's have this meeting. Let's sit down and let's have this discussion and let's say, does this make sense for everybody? Because for certain individuals, it may not. And so one of the things that we've kind of, you know, done to sort of compensate for this is that instead of having, you know, attrition and having there be a gap all the way through, we're looking at trying to increase the first year class size. So this year we have 12. Last year we had 11. And so, you know, we're hoping that everything goes smoothly and we can just get more space and we can just accommodate more people, and that will be awesome. But from that standpoint, we just want to make sure that people are on board. And the other thing that we're going to be doing long term is we're going to look to, and this is going to take us a while, but stagger the curriculum so that people who are interested in animation can go on an animation track for all 3 years, and people who are interested in VFX. They're going to get both skills, but they're going to be able to put more weight on one over the other. Whereas as you saw from the way that it's set up now is the first year is almost all animation. Even though those skills directly translate, they need those skills. They can't get away without them. Into the VFX and editing work that we do, into the Maya and rotoscoping stuff that we do in the third year. Some people, and this happened, you know, last year, where somebody's like, I guess I'm just not into animation. I want to do VFX, and I don't want to sit around for a whole year to wait to do that. So we want to find ways to offer that earlier if we can, but we also want to make sure that people can have the end goal in mind. They can see all the way to the end of it. Because not every course is going to interest everybody, but we've selected these things very specifically because their skills are going to need it. Especially because the programs we're training them in may not exist, you know, in 5 years. Yeah?
Well, my sons do the program, so I don't really know. Do students have homework?
So the question was, do students have homework? And the answer is, we have not traditionally prescribed homework. There's going to be a lot of things that we're going to be asking them to do on their own time. If they're meeting all of the course objectives within the class time period, they're really efficient, that they won't have homework. If they're not, we're going to need to remediate. And I'm going to talk about what ways that we're going to go through that. The thing that we want to do is we want to get as much practice as possible. And some things that we're going to offer, and these have not been fully developed yet, but just to give you kind of a little hint, is a lot of the things that we're doing in our summer workshops, we're recognizing people are super interested in, that are not necessarily a part of our full-time program. And as a result, we're going to start offering like workshop style stuff in the afternoon, after school, or on a weekend. That is like our summer program, but throughout the regular year. And it's going to be offered to, or geared more towards our full-time students or people who are advanced in those summer programs. So that our teachers are going to get way more of a kick out of it, because it'll be smaller class sizes, the products they produce will be way cooler. I think long term, this will evolve into what our alternative program is, where it can be product focused. So that we can say, we're going to produce this video game or this app or whatever it is, and then we're going to actually go out and sell it. And everyone who's in the class not only gets recouped for their thing if we actually sell it, but then they're going to make royalties on it. And that's going to be part of our model. And, well, hopefully, I need to get some approval before I start doing stuff. Yeah?
Question. So if a student is already skilled in, like, for example, Adobe, Maya, the other animation software, you guys will recognize that and move into the appropriate level that it'll be at?
Yeah, so the question was just about skill level, in case you guys didn't hear. And I'm saying this also too, just to make sure that everyone on the back mic gets it, because they may not get it when you come the other way. Is that no matter what the skill level is, we have a tiered curriculum. And everything is individualized and project-based. So we've had a bunch of individuals who have come in and have been really advanced in certain areas. Well, then they do 3 projects instead of 1. Or we may even push them into something else. We may have some other like actual real world project that they might be working on instead once the course content has been finished.
But
So-
Benji, can we save questions to the very end because we're out of time?
Oh, how are we doing? Yeah, sorry.
Can I just ask one real quick?
Yeah.
Sorry. Maybe a dumb question, but now we have our son, he has a apartment close to here, and that's how we set it up. And our big question was whether or not he needed internet in his apartment, because we don't know if everything is done here and if it would be a distraction for him in his apartment.
I can't tell you as to whether or not that will be a distraction for them. I mean, I know it's a distraction for me. I don't know how you function in this industry or this business without it. If he's got any kind of individual project and he wants to go home and work on it, and we're gonna be doing stuff like that also, like the other thing in addition to clubs, or in addition to those workshop style classes, because I know that it's like, look, you guys are already paying for the full-time program, like that's a really expensive thing. We try to make it as inexpensive as possible as a nonprofit, but when you get to that level, I want to start setting up student-led clubs and projects to do it, and so like I'm gonna start one in the fall myself to try and model it and see how it goes, and even though I'm not a technical person, I'm gonna take a team of interested people, anybody who wants to volunteer, and I want them to make a 15-second commercial for a salt-based antidepressant that is marketed to slugs. So, animated thing. And it's like, I'm gonna give them a project, I'm gonna give them like a really dumb, crappy storyboard because I'm not an artist, and I'm gonna say, I want you 5, 6, 7 people to set up, I'm gonna organize it, and then they do it on their own time. And then I'm gonna have instructors give the project feedback, and we're gonna take notes, and we're gonna do it, and then that's free. They can just set it up in lab or after school, and they'll have access to our computers, and they can sit down and they can work on it here. But they're gonna need to take some of that stuff home. There's gonna be other events and other things that they need to do. I know in editing, we don't wanna waste time with them watching movies, but they should be watching movies. Like that's not a waste of time. You know, I know when I came out here to be an actor, like that was something I could write off on my tax things, was HBO and Showtime. And because you need to know what's out there, like what are they casting for? Who are the casting directors? Am I right for this part? Same thing here, like we have tons of discussions. You know, it's like this massive thing. I knew nothing about The Little Prince, but everyone was super excited about it because it was the Kung Fu Panda director, and they moved on and they got pulled, and then it came out on Netflix, and we like had almost a huge party here to like air that show because who knew? So I'm getting I need to speed up. So you're gonna start hearing me talk even faster. So this meeting is gonna include me, Emily, Ron, and the parents. We're not gonna bring students to this. They're already gonna be informed, and they're gonna have their say in the 2 quarterly assessments with the RI and the PIP. So there's no issues and we're gonna be super transparent in whatever that discussion is. We're gonna already have it with them, but we're gonna bring that to the discussion and say, here's what we think, let's talk candidly. Let's not worry about hurting feelings, we're gonna be really respectful and stuff, but let's be really open about it. You know, so, and then if we decide from that standpoint that it's not a good fit, then obviously we're bringing the student in to make sure. You know, and if our recommendation is that we don't think it's a good fit, but you guys feel like you wanna plug on, we're behind that, we'll support you. It's not like we're kicking you out of the program. We're just saying, hey, we don't think this is a good fit, we're not sure. Because we have seen people who seemingly disinterested until midway through the 3rd year, and now these are the people who are like, are most likely to be employed. Because something turned on, they just woke up. And so we fully expect that that can happen. We just want to make sure that there's an open and transparent dialogue about what we think and what you guys think. So that's where this is going to be different than the other 2 meetings. Okay, so the 2nd year ICP meeting, and will follow the exact same format that it always has. So it'll be about career planning, overall progress in the program, more specifically, what career path is the student pursuing after he/she graduates, what do they want to do, and this will be more like a VFX animation style choice, or maybe it's a previs or something else. What improvement do they need to do, either in the classroom or outside of the classroom to get there? Internships, we want to push internships, and this will be something also I should have put on the 1st year ICP that we want to talk about, is that internships can only happen during summer, unless they're after hours. But we don't want to overwhelm our students either. So 1st year, we want people applying for internships, and that's going to be part of the work readiness program. And that hasn't been that in the past. We've gotten people internships or in our regular program, but that's something that we're going to really push, is we're going to have them looking it up, pursuing it on their own as practice for applying for jobs. Same thing in the 2nd year. And then same thing in the third year, but we're also hoping that they're going to be in EMS or we're going to find them employment elsewhere. So job experience, software, yeah, gravity's off, student attendance, volunteer and work hours, what modifications does the student need, what does the student need remediation, outside assistance, or in order to keep up with coursework. And then obviously this will include everything. Me, Emily, Ron, their teachers, students, and parents. And this will all be sent out to you, so I apologize for going fast.
I think if you could just the one thing that I think was important, what you just sped through there, is that the second year one does include the student, because they lead it. It's about
Yes,
them.
it is a student-led process where they're telling us what they want from here on out. They've had sufficient exposure to animation, to After Effects, to editing, and we say, what do you guys want to do? What do you think? Because let's start planning now.
Is that in January? Is that when you're doing?
So those usually occur, that's a good question. It's usually mid-year, yeah, it's like January or February. And those are going to occur across all 3 years, so we're going to fit everybody in. It's going to be a long month, but, so hopefully it's not in February, because that's a short one. So, okay, so third year ICP is, are they ready for employment? Yeah, okay, if so, what types? Have they completed all the requirements for graduation? I'm going to go over what those requirements are. Skills assessment, ACA certifications, this is really important. We had a previous requirement of 4 ACA, and by that I mean Adobe Certified Associate, is that what it is? Adobe Certified Associate? Yeah. That they needed to have 4. We started to recognize that 1 or 2 is probably going to do the job in terms of giving them legitimacy in their skill set and giving we've used it a lot for our program to give it legitimacy when we're talking with other people because they sort of don't know what we teach or don't teach, but we're recognizing that it took up way too much course time and that the tests are not applied. It's a bunch of vocab tests on the program. And it has nothing to do, like apparently, according to the instructors, I could probably take a 1-hour crash course and pass the program even though I can't use it. Whereas our kids may never be able to pass it because of the way that they're set up and they're fluent in the program. So what we're doing is we're focusing on 1, which is super important, which is Photoshop, because that's the most base level skill. And that's gonna happen in the first year in class. And then over the next 3 years, we expect them to do 1 on their own with limited support in lab or on their own. And that's been not really a problem. You know, and if they need individual help, we can set that up. We can help remediate. We have crash courses in all of this. We'll give them all that content. So, and then that way they're focusing on one they want, not one that we're mandating. Okay, and then volunteer hours, of which they need 40, and work hours, of which they need 40. And usually people hit that no problem. The volunteer hours are because we want to get them used to non-preferred work, as well as this sort of institutional hierarchy and compliance issue, so that when somebody tells them something they don't want to do, they say, well, that's not part of my job. It's like, look, that's the owner of the company. I don't care if he tells you to go get coffee, you go get coffee. You know, recognizing that kind of stuff, as well as they just start to, it builds up that work ethic, which is super important. The people that we've had the best success with employed on the outside are people who just do whatever they're asked. And they work their way up quickly. I mean, that's probably true in most organizations. If you have high institutional compliance and you're a go-getter, people like you. And then what improvements are going to be needed prior to graduation, and then they're going to be held again with everybody and led by the student. So, now I'm going to talk briefly about the work readiness program and what's involved in that, and then Kristen will talk briefly about what's involved in the career realities program, just so you guys are aware. Essentially, the work readiness program is designed to teach all of the soft skills, and all of this is predicated on the empirical learning model within applied behavior analysis, because that's where my training comes from. So it's a lot of evidence-based approaches, and we're teaching it across kind of 5 pillars or 5 domains, which are professional dress, professional demeanor, self-management, and these are in order of sophistication. Problem solving, a lot of our guys loved that because it was super fun. It's like the most fun portion of the curriculum, but it's also super hard. And then conflict resolution, which essentially is problem solving with interpersonal skills. So it's a combination of professional demeanor and problem solving and self-management. And so you can see how these are listed from composite to uber composite. Like professional dress, that's just like super basic. Like this is what you wear. There's no, you just got to know what it is.
Non-wrinkled Star Wars shirt.
Yeah. The non-wrinkled one, yeah. The clean one. Okay, and then the other thing that's a big part of this is what we're calling the LDP, or the Lesson Development Plan. And this is for specific technical and behavioral remediation as it relates to success in the classroom. So if somebody needs additional assistance for it, that they're gonna sign off on, and that you guys may sign off on. So that then we can say, hey, you know what, this is something that actually needs work, additional work outside of the classroom to get help with. And that's something that comes up quite frequently, and we remediate, we get it fixed, and then we move forward. You know, that one case that I was talking about who just woke up in the third year, he got on an LDP and then was like, oh my gosh! And now he's like in love with what he does, and he's like our most pumped and productive guy. And we're like, that's awesome, you know? And so it's not a bad thing, it's just, hey, like if there are needs, let's fill them. Let's get on it. And then job coaching, and this is one of the things that a lot of our graduate people are not aware. We offer job coaching support outside of EMS. So they graduate, they go into EMS, or they get into a job directly out of there, and we offer 30 hours in-house of additional training. If they need technical remediation, if they need interviewing skills, this is run by Emily and I currently, but we're hopefully going to be developing like a model program for this as well. And then 36 hours on site. So we're calling the job the people who actually work with them, and we're saying, here's what they need. Like I've been in awesome discussions with the people at Marvel and the people at New Ed and Mr. Wolf, and we know those people personally, and we're saying, hey, here's what you can expect. We educate the employer, we do a bunch of checkups to make sure, and we're doing prompt rating procedures. Again, all this stuff is like evidence-based out of the ABA model, so we have a whole system by which we do it, so that when they graduate, we're not just saying, good luck. You know, we get them in the job and we make sure that they have as much support as they need. If it exceeds beyond 36 hours, and that's what we recommend, then that would be something that you guys would fund yourselves, or you decide to gamble. And say, well, we think we got it. What we've seen in practice is that the most somebody has required once they've been on the job, other than a specific technical skill remediation situation, in which they maxed out the 36 hours because they had to learn new programs, was 19. Total, across all 66 hours.
So let's say like in 3 or 4 years after they've been placed in a job and they're still maybe having an issue, could they also come back and at that time?
So that hasn't been decided just yet because our program hasn't been fully developed, but as far as we're concerned, if you haven't used them, I mean, we do not, that could be subject to change because we don't want to be on the hook forever where somebody comes back to us like 25 years later and says, hey, by the way. Yeah.
So, if I may.
You may.
The real answer to that is we've allocated 36 hours to be able to help the graduate once they get into the job, to get job coaching, to get help, so on and so forth. Once those hours are exceeded, we make those available, but they have to be paid for by someone. I mean, we basically have to raise the money for those 36 hours, which we do through funding and grants and so on and so forth. So those coaching hours are available beyond that, but they will be at a fee. But more importantly, those employees are always important to us. So we'll always be checking up on them, we'll always be helping them with whatever we can. But when it comes to actual job coaching and going on location beyond those 36 hours, there will be a charge, and everyone should be aware of that.
Yeah, they should, and from that standpoint, the help that you're gonna get is not a joke. You're getting a board certified behavior analyst or a technical professional instructor. So it's something that we take really seriously, and to Ernie's point, you know, he's still having lunch and conversations with people who graduated 3 years ago about their placement and what they want to do. And when he had some questions about a job change, he called Ernie up, and Ernie took him out to lunch and said, hey, let's talk. What are you thinking? Let's go through this. Let's work it out. You know, we want to have a lifelong relationship with every one of our graduates because this is our brand. And it's not just about like branding in our organization, but we want to in fact change the conversation about autism. And we're not going to do that by saying, well, job well done, good luck. So we want to make sure that we're really supportive and we're following through in every way that we can. So,
in that sense, is there something of an alumni club?
That's a great question. Not as it stands now, but there sort of is.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, sorry, the question was, is there an alumni club?
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we have, what, 5 graduating classes so far? The fifth?
Five graduated, and Xavier Romo, if I may say, when he came in, he's only in his second year now in the program, said that he's going to be running the alumni.
Yeah, so Nick said, you want to say that's gonna run the alumni program
So
himself.
yeah, the fact is, we
No,
don't
it's
have my
a-
graduates right now.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's excellent. So just you can blow through these because we just covered them. So, yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, I guess the last one will be like logistical analysis. We work with some people who like take the train or the bus and we'll ride the train with them and say, if you guys really need to work this out, we'll sit down, we'll go through it. We'll make sure that you know the maps, you have a route there so that you're showing up on time. We'll help you figure that out. So, okay, vocational training. So I want to introduce Kristen, who has helped us a ton with curriculum design, and well, you can introduce your other wonderful talents.
My other wonderful talents. Hi, I'm Kristen Kusha. I've been around here for a while. I know a lot of you guys. Just quickly, my background is I'm a former English college professor, and so I kind of did a lot of work in basic skills, remediation. I had lots of students who were undiagnosed on the spectrum, so I'm familiar in that way. I'm walking the walk with everybody. I have a 16-year-old son with autism. He is a student here and has been in private lessons for years, and so I'm familiar with all of the struggles that we are all currently facing and the exciting journey, that we're all going for. I have run the parent group for the past couple of years. Our new parent group facilitators will be introduced at our next meeting, so please come. And I have a lot of background in curriculum development, lesson modification, things like that, and so we're kind of adding a different perspective into our Career Realities program. It's very cool because this year we have the entire day to work on Career Realities, work readiness, our whole Both Pro program. I'm going to be teaching the foundational aspects of Career Realities, which would be, if you imagine jobs in general, so we imagine resumes, elevator pitches, how to go to an interview, how to look for an interview, how to talk in the work environment. Do you really send your boss a text? If you do, how do you write that text? So the way that it's kind of going to be organized is we're going to front load a lot of stuff in the beginning, meaning like kind of the first semester. Then in the second semester, we're going to get out and do. So we're going to talk about, we're going to role play, we're going to discuss, we're going to really break down how to have an informational interview versus a real interview versus a phone interview. We're going to bring professionals in and help them and ask them to help us with it. We kind of have it organized in a foundational and technical. We have a nice little triangle too, which you can imagine a triangle. So if there's foundational and technical skills, foundational skills would be general job training. Technical skills would be specific to our industry, such as in Career Realities, we are going to immediately from day one begin working on a demo reel. We are immediately from day one going to be working on a professional website. Because what we found in the past is if we wait till the end for the resume, what happens to our students out at all the conferences and all the things? Maybe they're at Comic-Con, they talk to somebody. What do you do? Oh, do you have a resume? Oh, I don't have a resume. Well, now you do, because we're going to start that day one. Which means we need to sort of...
If I may, just really quickly, and so for the website and the resume building, all that stuff, that is now, even though it's not Career Realities per se, that's going to start in day one for across all of the classes. Everyone's getting a website, everyone's getting starting to work on their demo reel, everyone's starting to build their resume. Because we're not going to wait. You know, we had a bunch of first-year individuals who we were very fortunate, if you guys heard about it through our newsletter or in Variety magazine, which is pretty awesome. I guess it's not a magazine, but they went to Anajam and they competed. We had 3 of our guys. We had 2 first years and 1 second-year student competing against the best animation schools in the country at Cartoon Network. And they did awesome. And they made a bunch of connections, and they didn't have resumes. Oops.
They didn't write thank you.
And they didn't write thank you notes. And those are the kinds of things that we need to get a lot better at, making sure that those things happen. I mean, obviously, we have personal connections with the people at Cartoon Network, so we're doing those kinds of things and we're maintaining those relationships on their behalf, but we need them to be taking the initiative to do that.
And we want them to be thinking about the fact that they're going toward a job. From the first day, they are, you know, if they're out there, they can apply for internships for the summer. It's not until you're in April of your 3rd year, because I've seen students in the past year say, oh, well, I don't have anything to show, I'm only a 2nd year. I'm like, yeah, you do. You know, so it's like we want to start thinking about it from day one. And we also want to not have any downtime. So I want to make a little like amendment about the homework. There will be a little homework for me, sorry to everybody in advance. But again, I understand homework is not busy work. Homework, in my mind, is a lot of front loading. Like, for example, the very first day, the homework will be a resume worksheet. I just want you to go home and think about the things that you've done in the past. Not spend 20, 30, 40 minutes in class when we could be doing more appropriate, more interactive things. So it will be things like that. And in relation to internet access also, let me just plug in all these things, they will be asked to have a LinkedIn account. So looking for jobs, looking for internships, things like that. So I'm going to say yay for internet access for all the students. I'm also the person that sent that email out about school supplies. So there's a little manipulatives table right over there. You can actually see them in vivo, what they look like. The idea is we are going to actually be making a vocational resource book for our students. Our students are going to be making a vocational resource book that at the end of the program, they're going to have a binder full of all of this great stuff related to resumes, related to looking for jobs, related to how to talk to people, how not to talk to people, who to talk to. We're going to just fill it full of stuff, and they're going to walk away with this beautiful, personalized vocational resource book just for them. So it's again a different thing, and I've gotten a couple of different emails about it, and I'm happy to talk further about it. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to empower our students to want to go get jobs and to give them pieces of paper, a book. We're going to make a book.
I just realized you're not on camera.
Oh, hey!
The camera's over.
And so, yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Also, we had some questions about the 1 terabyte.
Yeah, so just really quickly to go through the slide, since I did the slide, even though this is straight from her syllabus. They're going to practice, refine, demonstrate mastery of vocational skills with competence in foundational and employment preparation, industry-specific technical skills and projects, and advanced aptitude in the applied practice of these tests. This is going to be more permanent product focused than work readiness is, because work readiness is more soft skills. Like how are you reading certain social situations, how are you managing certain behaviors that you have, how do you advocate if you're having difficulty understanding something specific to autism, so that you can both be an ambassador for autism as well as letting them know, hey, this comes with a territory. But this is going to be more, so here's some of the awesome outcomes and permanent products. A polished resume with 2 different industry-specific specialties.
Right, can you imagine if you maybe want to try to get a job in 2 different places? Who doesn't know how to do that?
Yeah, and everybody here, I'm sure, has written a bunch of resumes. When I go to my resume folder, I probably have over 100. Because for every job, I re-tailor it to what their specific
and we'll be
interests are.
directly teaching, it's not
How to do
all
that, yeah.
it's all kind of situation. If you want to go here, if you want to go there, and we're going to directly teach how to do that.
Yeah, so website, the multi-step process of applying for a job, for example, resume modification. How do you know what to modify? When I applied for EM, what's the first thing I did? I looked them up on the web. I looked at their mission statement. And guess what I started tailoring all of the language in my resume to? All of those things specifically.
Yeah, we're going to have industry-specific vocabulary. There's going to be a vocabulary list.
Yeah, social media, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook. It's amazing when I'm teaching master students in our program that they do stupid stuff like knock their professors on Facebook who are friends on their Facebook account. Or they go to the main school page and they start like laying stuff out about them. You idiots. Right? I mean, I don't know how to put it in any kind of euphemistic way. It's just, that's just dumb.
It needs to be directly taught.
Yeah.
Because you just didn't think about it, it just needs to be directly taught. And so that's what we'll do. Yeah.
Yeah, so 30-second elevator speech and knowing when to use it. You know, we had a really cool thing with, cute sorority girls who came into a game night that we did as part of just like a socialization event. And our guys are whipping out their 30-second elevator speech. This is not flirting.
I was like, don't tell me
Don't do this.
you're standing
Yeah, don't do this. Yeah, let's talk about this, right?
So we'll teach them an elevator speech. Everybody knows what that is. Here's my spiel on why you want to hire me. And then the second step is knowing from body language, should I continue talking or am I done talking? I hand them the business card and I'm walking away.
Yeah, as well as, oh yeah, question.
Do you teach the students to acknowledge to employers, prospective employers that they are autistic?
Yes, that's one of the things, so in conflict resolution and self-advocacy, and that was something that in the last iteration, I just taught specifically self-advocacy, and that was super huge, and I talked about it more generally to sort of accommodate all the different things, but I am going to tailor it a lot more to autism-specific stuff. To say, hey, I might have some problems knowing what is the most urgent task that you give to me. Maybe you could lay that out for me. We also are going to hammer this feedback and note-taking model.
Yeah.
Because note-taking in the way we're gonna do it, which is functional note-taking rather than formal note-taking, I'm not gonna go into it because that's like an 18-slide presentation, is a self-management form. Here's how you prompt yourself. Here's how you set this stuff up so that you understand what you're supposed to do. And that's linked to the feedback model so that then you summarize it to your supervisor and say, let me see if I have this right. Before I go work for 7 hours on this thing, let me make sure that I know exactly what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. We use that same model down in EMS, and we're training the heck out of it down there as well. So they're gonna get repetition, repetition, repetition. They're gonna have formalized worksheets, so they're gonna learn it super well.
They'll learn it in whether we're gonna learn it in.
question?
Oh, sorry. The question is, are we teaching them to advocate specifically to autism, or just to advocate more generally? And I'm saying that specifically to autism. And all of our skills are going to be directly related to like executive functioning issues that individuals might have.
Well, that's an accommodation also, modification that we have in this population because we have issues with short-term memory, we have issues with oral comprehension, and there are different ways. There's some wonderful note-taking models that happen in work readiness. Then we're going to carry those into career realities, learn some different methodologies, and then also ways that you can totally take notes on your phone, and everybody's always messing with their phone. I mean, and, if you can't remember what someone's saying, you just take notes, then you repeat it back, check the comprehension, move right along. There's nothing different about that, right? And so we're just going to teach some little skills like that, I mean, they're big skills, but they're just like some little cheats almost that make them move more into that neurotypical model.
Sorry, real quick, when Alex was in college, she had a recorder and asked the teacher if she could record the classroom and then she would listen to it later when she worked out or whatever.
Awesome.
Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. Well, rather than get into specific stuff, I guarantee you that the note-taking, that thing that I talked about, even to them, I'm presenting research on handwriting versus typing. I mean, it's not super sexy stuff, but it's really important in terms of getting their investment in what we're doing. In the interest of time, we can answer more specific individual questions at the end. So.
And just to know that note-taking also is active learning as opposed to passive learning.
Oh, yeah.
Because when we're sitting there and people are sitting there taking pictures with their phone of what's on the whiteboard, I'm like, nah.
No, yeah.
That's not going on at all.
So just really quickly to the list so that we can
Yeah.
move forward. A lot of people, we got a lot of feedback and comments saying that 1 terabyte seemed like way too much of a drive. We're presuming that 1 terabyte is for all 3 years, because when somebody fills up a drive and then they move it over, if that drive's not being used consistently, all the software is not updating. I know I had this problem in college because the internet was like a brand new thing, and I was like, holy cow, all of a sudden I'm running my life off this thing that I barely used. I'm not using AOL anymore. I'm sorry to anybody who still has an AOL account. But it is that I got in and I got out of college and I had like 5 different formats of media. And I pretty much ended up losing all of my college work, the vast majority of it. I literally had to mail my college for some of the stuff, like for this grant that I wrote that I wanted the actual content for. That then they had to Xerox it and mail it to me because it was like in some student work section that they had. And it's like, that's a bummer because I had it on floppy disks. And then I had it on small little flash drives that when Windows updated, and that was the new thing, it corrupted every single file I had. Which is why we want 1 drive so that it's going to be consistently updated. We can help them monitor the organization. And in the past, we've let people put all their stuff on our vault, and what we end up with is we hit over 2 million duplicates in terms of files. And these are not small files, they're huge files. And when that happens, it can crash our entire system where we're trying to archive all of our student work. So we're talking about the terabyte hard drive and why.
A thumb drive or a hard drive?
A thumb drive, sorry, it's just a storage drive, an external drive. Yeah, they're not very big, but you guys, you can pick up a 2 terabyte hard drive for $75 at Costco.
I got 1 terabyte on Amazon yesterday for $54.
I think they're more like 4, isn't it? I mean, it's hard to find smaller.
Well, that's the thing, they're getting bigger and bigger. I remember when computers used to be 32 megabyte computers, like a whole huge computer, and now it's like 32 megabytes is like, that's a waste of space. Nobody uses that anymore. So, anyway, but just so if you guys have individual questions about those kinds of things, we'll go ahead and do that, unless you have anything else to add, Kristen. Sorry. Okay, here we go.
Will you send that email?
Yes, we will send, and there's a hard copy of this over there.
There's hard copies right over here.
And you guys are also going to get all of this stuff in that cool little digital booklet that we're going to send you. So, yes.
Is there somebody here who represents the studio? I have questions about the studio.
We can answer any questions that you have about the studio.
My question is, if you are successfully placed in the studio, is there room for advancement outside the studio into like another, can that be a stepping stone, maybe move into a studio?
Yes, I'm going to cover that specifically.
Oh,
So, okay, so in terms of advancement and remediation, actually, there you go, Tracy. So, okay, so we're going to talk about EM labs, okay? We have 2 labs that we set up. One, the format of the lab is a workshop style setting, so individual feedback is going to be available through all labs, though the instructor-supervisor ratio may vary, and the instructor running the lab may or may not be an expert in the specific program that the individual is working in. If they're not an expert, they can help them troubleshoot and problem solve their way through it, but then that may be something where then we need to set something up with their individual instructor to set up special lab time with them. Like we only have a couple people who know Maya, for example. So if you're going to go into the lab and you're going to work on Maya, and then you run into some problems, if the lab person in there knows Maya, great. If they don't, then we'll try and set up some different times to do that. Okay, so technical lab, same kind of thing. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 6 p.m. This is free of charge. By the way, this is just come in and work on the computers. It could be for technical remediation or advancement on personal projects. So when I mentioned that club idea where I want instructors to generate tiny little 15-second projects that students can go run their own production line on, that will be run during lab time, so they have access to that. They can do that after school actually as well if they set it up with us in advance. It will also be used to acquire additional ACA certifications. And then we're going to have vocational lab, which is only Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. This will be Kristen. She's going to be in there, and it'll be for remediation for missed classes and or for the advancement of personal pursuits. If you're pursuing an internship and you want help building that resume, show up on Tuesdays. Last year, this actually became a really complicated process, which is why we had like 3 different people helping one person write a resume. And they ended up with 3 very different resumes. Who knows which one they sent?
If you want help writing.
Yeah, she's also the English teacher, so we're going to go with that way. Okay, so in terms of the remediation process, we want to let you know what this looks like. And to reach fluency with a particular skill, they will be asked to remediate in this order. 1, go to lab voluntarily. If you're not showing up to lab, start showing up. Then we're going to say, you have to show up to lab, and we're going to develop a plan for what you're going to be doing during that lab time. Okay? Then it'll be mandatory private lessons where we're going to say, like, look, you guys got to get extra help. There's just no way that you're going to be able to complete these learning objectives if you can't do it. Okay? And the private lessons could potentially be on Saturdays because Josh, who both is one of our probably most broadly skilled instructors, he also works down in the studio, is going to be helping with remediation. He's going to be here on Saturdays to help with that. So obviously, sorry, go back 1 second. Okay, well, never mind. So obviously, like the first 3 steps of that process are free, essentially, right? The first 2. And then the last one would be something that then you guys would have to pay for. And if you opt not to pay for it, you may get away with it and be able to do it, but we don't want that to impede anybody being able to graduate. This is a rare situation. It is not the norm by any means, but individuals have done it for advancement on their own. But when people switch to, like, say, from a layer-based program, like all of the Adobe software, to Nuke, which is a node-based program, I'm not going to go into the differences there, but some people really struggle. Other people find it way easier to work in the node stuff. And if they're not picking it up, and they're not keeping pace with class, we got to get on top of it. So we'll help you in lab, we'll set up an LDP, we'll do whatever we can, we'll work with you at lunch, we'll do a bunch of other things that, whatever kind of resources we can throw your way, but if it starts to exceed our capacity to do it within school hours, then we're going to say you're going to have to pay for some private lessons and come in outside of school to do it. Okay? Okay, graduation. So these requirements only apply to the first year students, to be clear. The new ones. The old ones still apply to everyone else. So, first one is 2 ACA certifications. So for those in the 3rd year, they probably have 3 or 4. I don't know, but because that was the whole graduation requirement. Photoshop in first year class, and 1 additional completed in lab. So we also need a skills minimum of 80% across all classes. And what we mean is that when we're assessing all those component skills, this is a pretty low bar. I would suspect that if you're at 80%, we're not seeing a lot of fluency, and that may make it difficult for you to even be in EMS. So we imagine that a lot of people will graduate. As we get better at this, and we can guarantee that if people do our work and our progression has been empirically validated, we can raise that bar. But right now, we want to create a pretty broad cushion.
Do the 2nd and 3rd years still need to get the 4 certification?
No. 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 2 is all that's needed. I'm just saying, like, The third years probably are way above this already. So, and I believe that you guys already have Photoshop and
Just Photoshop.
they just have just
The
Photoshop.
second year, students will have to get another certification in lab.
Yeah, so all the people who just went through first year only have one certification, because we made that change midway through last year. So they will need to pick up a second of their choosing over the next 2 years.
Where it was previously 3,
Or 3, sorry.
it was previously 3, some of them in the third year already have their 3, but now only 2 are required, but only 1 is being done in class. And just so that I can clarify about that really quickly, what was happening is we were focusing so much on this testing that is for their Adobe certification that we weren't really getting through the curriculum and the things that were important for what we really needed them to learn. For example, Adobe, when you learn Flash, requires you to learn about web design, or might require you to learn about copywriting. A lot of things that didn't apply directly to what we were doing. So we still required the 2 ACAs because it's important as a badge of honor, but we figured it was way more important to focus on the curriculum and then learning the things they actually needed in order to be working. So
Yeah,
that's-
in sum, the ACA testing certification was not a valid measure of their ability to use the program. And it was eating up somewhere between 30 to 50% of our instructional time in a semester. It was just too much. It was too much of a burden. We decided it was not worthwhile, that they know copyright law as it relates to removing logos on Photoshop. Like, look, we'll help you with that. We're not gonna let anyone get sued. So, okay, we need 40 volunteer hours and 40 work hours. So internships, we want to be really crystal clear on this point. For full-time academy students, internships are designed for summer only. If an internship comes up that's after hours, we'll put it forward to you if we think the student can handle it. It's a lot. Our program is a lot. It's 3 years of super accelerated, very focused learning. And our people handle it very well, but we want to make sure that fall and spring internships are going to be allocated to graduates only. This was a debate that was decisively settled. Well, we had some people in the past opt out of our curriculum every Friday for a year. And then it's sort of like, well, we can't really guarantee what they know or don't know because they missed a ton of it. And we saw a lot of those problems actually then crop up. The content that they were missing was causing problems in the internship. And we're like, that's why we're not going to do this. So if an internship comes up, you guys can totally say, you know what, this internship is more important than graduating from EF. That's a choice you can totally make. We're not going to recommend it, but that's a choice you can make because we want to really focus on the advancement. And if it's an internship that is being done by our personal relationships, we're going to push it to summer. Or if instead of the spring, we're going to set up that same Cartoon Network internship for that guy who already made relationships at Anna Jam for the fall after he graduates. We know those people. They're our friends. They'll do that. They made all kinds of exceptions just to get us into that competition, for starters. So yes.
What are the work hours and where are they getting them?
Oh, the work hours occur actually while they're here. So for example, like Lauren right now, who is a graduate, she is filming us. But when she was still a student, she was getting work hours for this. So, and they're paid work hours to come. We have people go to booths at Stephanie's Day or at the Walk for Autism. We have people take photographs when they're working on projects in production and they're getting paid for it. And they're getting practice filling out timesheets and those kinds of things. If they're real world projects, we're paying them. And they get them. Almost nobody has any issue qualifying for their volunteer hours or their work hours. We provide them. They don't have to go outside our program to seek them. So, okay. So moving on. Almost done. Okay, and then EMS. So this is going to answer a lot of questions about this. So entrance requirements. Only graduates of our EM full-time academy get in there. No one from our part-time programs, summer programs. We're not hiring individuals with autism off the street. Only people who are graduates go into it. Okay, and they get qualified through studio testing metrics as well as demonstrating. We don't have those metrics yet for animation because that's a lot harder because the projects are so variable depending on the style. It's going to be really, I don't even know if we'll be able to develop metrics for that. But based on skill level and pace level, you can qualify for our animation studio across the hall. So for like the rotoscoping and our VFX work downstairs, we can create metrics for that. The same type of jobs come up over and over and over, and it's the same kind of work. And we know, and that's how we bid those jobs. We know exactly how long they should take. But for animation, it's going to be like instructor approval. So, okay. And then they need to be deemed behaviorally appropriate to work in the professional setting. We need these places to at least be, at a zero cost. And when we're bidding on real jobs and losing money and paying all of our EMS grads, you know, our artists down there, a good wage. I forget what the minimum is, but it's.
Minimum, they start at 12,
Yeah,
then
it's
it moves
12.
up as their skills.
And it goes up as their skills develop. So it's not even a minimum wage job. I mean, we pay them well, but we need them to produce because we can't just keep losing money on job after job. And some jobs we lose money on, other jobs we make money on, and we gamble. And for the most part, it's worked. You know, some jobs are just really tough, but they push our artists, and it's really important skills that they need to develop. And other jobs are not so great. Okay, so those who do not initially qualify can take a remediation track to qualify at a later time. We will keep working with people to get them into EMS. It's not like you missed your boat, it's over, let's move on. It's like, no, whatever it takes to get you back in there is what we're gonna do. Okay, and then studio testing, because this is something that stresses people out. It's in the 3rd year. They work on real shots that we did in the studio. So for example, when we did Avengers Age of Ultron, and we did a bunch of marker removal with Iron Man, they're gonna work on that exact shot. We know what the professional standard was because our guys did it down in EMS and we timed them. They're going to be held to that same time metric. So they need to be able to produce professional level work, acceptable. It doesn't need to be like pristine because we get that the people down in the studio have had a little more practice. But they need to be in that ballpark. And so we're coming up with really specific metrics for that. As well as, like I said, the shots need to be usable. Okay. Focus on admission of EMS, and this is sort of to the question that we got earlier. It is designed to be a transition to real-world independent work. That is the purpose of our studio. Okay? It's going to serve as an apprenticeship with on-the-job training, and that can be paid or unpaid depending on the skill level. It may be that you have a particular skill that you're super awesome at, like you're great at color correction or something like that. And when the job requires that, you're going to get all those jobs. But if we have a bunch of jobs that don't require that at all, and you're not up to speed on the other stuff, there might not be work for you. So during that time, we'll have you on unpaid training down there. Just so you guys are aware that when you get into the studio, it's not like this constant, consistent paycheck 100% of the time. We're working as hard as we can to set it up that way so that all of our graduates are walking directly into paid work all the time. But it depends on the scale and the size of the work that we get and the complexity of it. So. It's to prepare them technically and behaviorally for outside employment. So again, not a final destination, right? While it does offer meaningful employment, we don't want to view this as the terminal goal. This is not where their lives end up. Now, it could happen that we get so good at this that we ultimately start up our own independent studio, or it is a career thing. But that's not where we're at right now. That's not where the focus is. We want, again, to change the conversation about what's going on. We want them to get out of a supported employment environment and into the real world. These are just extracurricular events that occur. This is just things that we do pretty regularly. So it's not limited to this. We will do more, but just so that you are aware, we do field trips, so they have an opportunity to visit major motion picture studios, and they're awesome studios. They're really cool. You know, from Warner Brothers to Sony to Pixar to Disney to Cartoon Network. And we bring in a lot of speakers from those places. It's awesome. And we want to prep them for them to see that as a networking opportunity. We do movie nights every Thursday night. We show a movie that they vote on beforehand. We put up a poll, usually via email or on the fridge back there, and they vote on it. And then they come, and for those of you who are Mystery Science Theater 3000 fans, they usually heckle the whole movie. Because they've all seen it like 6 or 7 times, and people are quoting it. And it's respectful and it's fun, and people go across the street and they buy pizza and a Pollo Loco and they bring it back over. It's a good time. It's just a way that we want our guys to socialize. And the instructors are here for that as well. We want people to go to film festivals, and especially because Ron has done a really good job of getting some of our students' work into those film festivals, which has been awesome. And then we've done Dodgers baseball night a few times. John is a really huge baseball fan. He works in the animation studio. He was an instructor last year. Well, I guess he was, well, whatever. John was floating around. So he has organized it where when they have autism awareness, we buy a giant pack of like 30 tickets and we send as many of our people to go down there. A couple of them got to stand on the field with some Dodgers and be on the Jumbotron. It was awesome. So, and then obviously we have parent group and sponsors event. And so this is where Kristen will take over. And then afterwards we can answer any individual questions that people have lobbied on the web.
Very, very quickly, I was the parent coordinator. I was the parent coordinator for the past couple of years. Now we have Kathy, Floyd, and Michelle. Raise your hand. Who will be officially taking over the post in October at our first meeting on the 23rd. We have Mark Witzmall, he's gonna be talking about transitioning from school age to adulthood. Yes, that is all of us. There's lots of stuff we don't know about because they like to keep it secret. So what we have right here is the full year calendar, so you can plan your entire life around coming, which I recommend. We have information about the first speaker, and Kathy and Floyd have made some wonderful volunteer sign-up sheets that says, help make every meeting a success. So when we all participate, we all get to meet each other. We all get to meet people that have similar lives as us. We all get to meet people that have similar concerns to us. I really recommend it. It's really fun, and sorry, everybody in it is very cool. So that's all I have to say about that.
Okay. Yeah, you wanna?
Yes, let me wrap up if that's all right. Unless you
Sure.
have something to say there. I want to thank Benjamin and Kristen. Renal, as you heard from a little while ago, he assisted in everything with the school, so you can also call him and ask questions. And I don't know that Kat Wright was introduced.
She was not.
But she is the
Academically, yeah.
She is the academic lead of the school. She's helping to create the curriculum, to get the whole process going. She's absolutely incredible. And if you have any questions about your students, you can certainly come to Kat.
And I'll be in the first year with the new students, so please contact me anytime.
So she sets the pace for everyone. What I'd love to do, is there some questions online? Is that what I hear?
There's no questions online yet.
Okay. So thank you, online people, for not asking questions. Everybody is probably hot and aching in their seats. So.
I wanted to recap a couple of things. One is he kind of quickly went through those 5 points. I love the scientific jargon, but sometimes it does kind of go over my own head. I wanted to be clear that we focus on dress. That includes bathing, right? You know, if you guys know that if the shampoo does not turn into foam on your head, it's not working.
By the way, that's a trademark of my group.
So the fact is deodorant, bathing, dress, that's all super, super, super important. And those are things that we, see the way that we actually came down to 5 points, and I want to share this with you, is that originally we had 42 different things. We talked to employers, and we had 42 different things that we were looking for and we were trying to get these guys ready for. Then one day Benjamin came to me, and it was when I realized he might be a little brilliant, but I wouldn't tell him to his face, he says, you know, it doesn't do any good to kind of tell someone when they're doing something wrong. You have to catch them doing good. And I said, well, there's no way we're going to catch them doing good on 42 different things. You need to go back and bring back 10 things that we're going to focus on. And he says, well, I'll do you one better. I've got 5 things that we're going to focus on. And so that's dress. Again, it includes all those other things. Professional demeanor is simply attitude. If you had a bad night, or if the dog kept you up all night, I just don't care. If you stayed up watching Game of Thrones all night because you were binge watching, it doesn't matter. You need to come in here and you need to have a great attitude when you're working here. Managing your time is things that we work on. And finding your own solutions to things is things that we work on. And finally, and again, he ran through those really quick because we were going fast, but conflict resolution. We all have problems with people that we work with or go to school with or so on and so forth. Those are good because they need to figure out how to resolve them, not us figure out how to resolve them. They need to figure out how to resolve them. I was giving a speech in New York recently, and a kid in the back of the room who just answered all the questions right. But at one point I said, so what do you do if someone comes at you, they're angry, and they think you've done something wrong, and you might not have had anything to do with it. What do you do? And he raised his hand and he goes, deny, deny, deny. We all laughed, of course, and he knew it was funny. But it's not deny, deny, deny. It's, wait a minute, maybe I didn't understand you. How can we fix this? How can we move in the right direction? So these are things that we want to encourage you to encourage, because they're things that we're going to catch them doing right on all the time. Right? Johnny, great job when Bill came at you all angry. Great job scaling down on that. Or Ronaldus, I love the way you're dressed today. You know, so that kind of thing. Okay, questions?
I just want to know, what is your minimum, when you say the professional attire, what is minimum?
The That's great. That's another 16-page lecture.
Yeah, I was like, so, yeah, no, as soon as he's saying those things, I was like, okay, well, to be clear, we went through the same process that I'm talking about doing here, which was we started with 42 and we narrowed it to 5. Now, within those 5, there's way more than 42 component skills that we're teaching in that.
Sure.
But like, so when we talk about conflict, it's organizational, it's, institutional conflict, interpersonal, logistical. It's not just like, oh, I don't like this guy, how do we work it out? So one of the things that I specifically teach, and we're working on this in Career Realities, and we're working to integrate this across all classrooms, including down in the studio, is the learning to learn model. So one of the things that I focus on as the major test of how I know whether they've got that, is I put up pictures of groups. And I say, you tell me what the dress code is. If you walked into this as an office, and you looked at 20 different people who were all dressed in this group, what's the dress code? And they have to write what the dress code would be. So it's like, oh, I have to interpret from observation, because that's contextual. And it changes, it's dynamic. You have to, what I'm wearing today is not what I wear normally. Obviously, for all of you who've met me, you're like, whoa, this guy button shirt on. Who's that guy? But from that standpoint, we want to teach their behavior to be contextually and experientially based, not just robotically rule governed. So if you're concerned about my ABA background, I'm not going to teach your kids to be robots. Okay? Yeah.
There's a lot of innovation studios that have their own culture, their own tone, student buddies, they camp there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that, I think they'll learn from their people.
So what he's saying is that there's a lot of animation studios where people dress in different dress. Some of them even sleep there and are in wrinkled shirts and all these things. So that's what's interesting. And I want to come back to address what you asked. First of all, this isn't a gym, so you're definitely not going to wear your gym clothes, right? So flip-flops and gym shorts or tank tops or cutoffs,
No, the professional day, Thursday day.
Yeah, so if you want me to explain really specifically what business casual means, it means that you need a collared shirt, you need pants, and you need dress shoes. You can wear jeans, that's totally fine, that's business casual, but you can't have sneakers.
No holes in the jeans.
No holes in the jeans, you can't wear sandals of any kind. Now for ladies, it's totally different, and if you want to see the slides, you can help me develop that criteria a lot more. I did a ton of research on this specifically, but that's the minimum. So people come in, but some people go above that, and they go business professional, where like more, well I guess if I had slacks on, I would be business professional, but I don't. So
again, to clarify, that's on Thursdays only, or if we say, hey, on Tuesday, we have Marvel coming in and we need you to dress business professional.
yeah. And for the most part, our guys love it. We have a couple people who come in and they're so snappy. They I can tell they live for Thursday. They're waiting for the green light to walk in with a jacket, a button-down jacket on and slacks, and they look awesome.
But again, that's so that they get used to when they go in for an interview. The culture may be that you wear t-shirts, but for the interview, you shouldn't walk in a t-shirt.
Yeah, and it also creates a working, functional language within the culture here. So when I say, hey guys, I want you to be business casual, only exception is your EM t-shirt. They know exactly what I'm talking about. Or I'm like, actually I want you to be business professional with an EM t-shirt, which means they have to have a jacket or a button down over there. I don't have to explain it, they know. And it's awesome. They totally get it.
And they're empowered,
yeah, they know what it is. And so when we just had somebody who got a job over at New Edit recently, which is really awesome, he got a full-time job over there, just started, this is his first week of work, shy of business professional. And he said, okay. Like that was the end of the conversation. And he's like, oh, I know exactly what that is. And he's like, yeah, because I don't want to wear my comfortable dress shoes because they're a little beat up. I want something shiny that's pointy-toed. Okay, awesome.
And when in doubt, dress.
Yeah, and they learn all of these things. And you guys will probably get a kick out of if I put up the slides of the cultures that I have on there, because I have a bunch of 1980s bands who are in weird suspenders and glockenspiel stuff. So that it's unique examples, figure it out. And then when we went to a professional conference over at Perfectum in Pasadena, I had them come back and I'd say, what was the actual dress code there? Did we meet it? Were we above it? Were we below it? And they could all tell me. They were like, well, it depended. When we were at the booths, it was totally different than when we were actually in the conference. And later in the day, people started shedding ties and jackets were going out the window. Anybody who's been to a conference, that's exactly what happens. So,
any other questions? So we can let you guys go.
Also, people virtually, if they have any questions, please feel free to ask them now.
In the real workplace, I understand one of the most stressful things is the deadline.
Yeah.
that these kids are dealing with? What's being done in the program addressing that
Great
stress
question.
related to?
So I know one of the things that Kat can speak more to in the first year is they're doing 11-second club.
Yeah, we do group projects and we do individual projects, but all of our courses, or all of our in-class assignments and projects have deadlines. In the beginning, we will work with students if they need remediation because they're not picking up the skills. But really, we try to make them work towards their deadlines.
In the professional setting, even those without those challenges have
Right.
trouble
Yep,
with that.
and so one of the things that I can tell you, having just audited the VFX and editing curriculums over their syllabi, and we had a meeting down in the studio with them, Crunch is programmed in as part of it. We're gonna put a deadline on there that you just might not make. And we're gonna see how far you get. And we're gonna intentionally, with a good kind of stress, don't worry, we're not gonna freak them out, you know, we want their people first, we wanna take care of them, but this can be kid gloves time, especially as you get to the end of it. And so while we are a very kind and loving and open place, and like Kat said, if they're having problems, look, we're gonna step in. We're not gonna say like, oh, you go to the bad class or the slow track. There's no such thing. We want every single person who graduates to have the same skill set. So we're gonna work really hard to get them there. But we are gonna simulate that a lot. And so the goal, obviously, is for fluency measures. And as we get through the program and matriculate more and more iterations, we're gonna actually probably come up to a very exact number. And for anybody who's had any experience, hopefully you have, it's amazing. If not, look it up online. It's called precision teaching. They've been doing this for about 45 years, and no matter what the skill is, they have a 1-minute timing of it. And in 1 minute, you need to hit this mark. And if you can't hit that mark, you don't move on, end of story. And those are the people whose educational programs get mastery at 9 times the rate of standard education. These are kids walking to 7th grade who have a high school degree. And they're better at high school than the people who actually took all 12 years to get through it. Because they can do it fluently and fast. And the important thing about fluency, and this is where I'm going to geek out one last time, because this is what my master's thesis is on, is that you get what we call a reset outcome. You get better retention, you get better endurance, you get better stability in the face of distraction, you get better adaptation and adduction, which that's like generalization. Like all of a sudden it's a new program, it's a new setting, it's a new whatever it is. You get all of those things, and we don't know why this is, but you only get it when you train at speed. You don't get it when you just train for accuracy alone. And that's been scientifically proven over the last like 35 years. There's tons of research to show. Yeah, it's interesting. We don't know why that is, but I mean, like, there's probably a lot of like.
You see what I walk into every day? But the bottom line is, you can see we're providing them with everything we can possibly think of to give them everything they need to succeed. Scientifically, computer-wise, we have state-of-the-art computers, but we're just coaches, right? We are not doing it, right? This is like Kobe Bryant had to go work out himself and still had to go and practice every day and do it to succeed. He had the best masseuses and he had the best coaches and the whole bit, but we're only here to coach them, and so are you. Okay, you guys are not here to do anything for them. I know some of you have to drive them in and so on and so forth, but the more dependent that they can get, the more they have to do things on their own, the more they have to wake up by themselves.
We would rather they miss class once or twice to learn that they're actually not getting up on their own. No joke. Mistakes are important. They're critical to learn.
It's better that it happens here than
On the first
they're going to
day,
work
yeah.
and you're still waking them up and Jimmy, you gotta wake up and go to work. It's not your job anymore. These guys are adults. You guys have done a phenomenal job. I think one of the things that I've learned in the last 5 years, first of all, parents with kids with autism, you guys are superheroes. You guys have had to go through a lot to get them to where they're at. But it's time to stop it. Okay? It's time to let them cross the street by themselves. It's time to let them do the things by themselves. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to do it. Right? So it's time to let go. Let us beat them up. That's what we're here for. We have to be their coaches and push them through. And we're going to be as nice as we can about it. But also we're preparing them for work. Right? So sometimes we're going to be a little rough about it too. And you guys got to help us with that. And
They're gonna listen to you guys more than us anyway.
Yeah, and if they don't, and just to be clear, I'm a mandated reporter, no one's getting beaten. But just from the standpoint of, yeah, maybe that's the problem, yeah, we're not gonna do that. But just from the standpoint of, if they don't want it, we can't make them want it, you can't make them want it, And if they don't want it, we can still help. We can still help in a lot of other skills and a lot of other ways, and there are individuals in our program who are focused on that, you know? Who they love our program, they love being here, they're learning the skills, they're doing it. They're still not sure when they graduate if this is something they want to do. I wasn't sure when I got out of college what I wanted to do.
But isn't that the real world?
That's the real world, yeah.
I mean,
I just want to manage that expectation because I know that a lot of people are like, I've gotten my kid this far. And I will say, having worked in the field of autism for 15 years, if you've gotten your kid this far, you are in fact a superhero. Like, that's different from other parents of autism. I work with a lot of those other parents.
And also, as a parent, sometimes there has to be a conscious step back. Like, we don't even realize we're micromanaging, you know? And sometimes there has to be like that step back. And you know what the coolest thing is when you're pleasantly surprised where it's like, well, damn, they can get up by themselves.
Yeah.
You know, wow, I'm not a human being alone anymore.
Okay.
That's the great stuff.
I think we do have to wrap it up.
Yeah, we gotta wrap it up. Well, thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it.